What's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2021 Lotus Evora GT. Behind me is a 3.5 liter supercharged V6 and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Lotus Evora GT because it's not every day I get to drive a mid-engine supercharged sports car or just even a Lotus in general. Now this car is also really interesting for a couple of other reasons. First of all, the Evora started life before Geely took over, the Chinese company, but they still produce this. So this is kind of half original Lotus, half Geely. It's really, really strange, the crossover and changes that occurred. The second reason is the fact that 2021 was the final year for the Evora before they switched to the Emira. So we have a lot to talk about. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Also, huge thank you to Your Garage Incorporated for making this video possible. If your car needs work in the Chicagoland area and you would like the mechanic to come to you, you can schedule an appointment with Your Garage Incorporated. They will be linked down in the description below. Let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6 behind me. Well, it is supercharged. However, it actually has rather humble beginnings. It is a Toyota engine. This is the 3.5 liter V6 that we saw in the Sienna and the Camry and the Tacoma. In that regard, it's nothing special. However, it has been supercharged. Now, something interesting is that it actually gets a different oil pan than all the other Toyotas. This is a special oil pan for the Evora, and it has rubber baffles in it, meaning every 2 years you have to drop the oil pan off of it in order to swap out the rubber baffles. It might be a Toyota engine, but you still have weird exotic car things to worry about. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. Feels absolutely wonderful. It has a weird clatter in first gear. This is actually because they used a foreign market truck transmission for this because nothing else really mated properly to the Toyota V6. So very interesting there. Last but not least, the Evora is of course rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Lotus Evora GT? Well, first of all, it's very quick. It's very fun. It has a lovely driving feel. As you saw, it's fast. It puts a smile on your face. Most cars in this segment do. However, something to note is that while it is this weird exotic vehicle, it actually handles itself really well. With the windows up, I can talk at a normal volume. It's not blowing my eardrums out. The ride quality isn't snapping each vertebrae in my spine. It's actually a comfy car that is pleasantly enjoyable to drive. And I know that might not sound trivial, but normally in this segment of cars, they're beautiful to look at. They're beautiful to drive on that one sunny day, but the rest of the week, they're god-awful. And that's not the case here. The owner actually has road tripped this, and he said he enjoys it quite a bit. So that definitely means something. Visibility is terrible, especially out the back with that carbon fiber hatch that we'll talk about. But overall, it's not really that demanding. It's not scary to drive. It works really well. And that's a huge plus for the Evora. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of physical and digital gauges. Off to the left, I get an MPG gauge along with my physical tachometer. And off to the right, we have the physical speedometer with a digital clock, temperature, and odometer. On the steering wheel, we do have some cruise control options, but that's it. And off to the left, we have a climate control vent, mirror switches, headlight switches, which look almost Stellantis, and gauge dimmer switch. And moving on to the door, we have the power window options. Moving into the center, we do have these two giant climate vents just kind of hanging out up on the dash. One big issue with the Evora is that the dashes tend to crack in the sun quite a bit, so a lot of people cover the dash with something when it's parked or have some type of answer for this. But then we have a row of 7 buttons. Off to the left, we have our heated seat, sport and race mode. In the center is the hazard switch. And off to the right is the central locking, exhaust mode, and passenger heated seat. Something weird about the exhaust mode is that when you turn it on, it actually opens up the baffles. It makes the car a lot louder. However, if you're in sport mode, which already opens up the baffles, and you hit the exhaust button, it actually closes the baffles, Make that make sense? I don't know. But down below, we have an Alpine radio. This is the factory standard radio for the Evora. I know it looks like some kid picked it off a Best Buy shelf, but this is the factory radio for the vehicle. And then we have our climate controls, where to set it up at the top, temperature in the center, fan speed down below. It's laid out in a very exotic way, but it's actually pretty simple. Then we do have the shifter. We have this nice metal ball shifter. It's very notchy, very clicky into gear. Absolutely love this. Huge perk of the Lotus Evora. Handbrake and no center console or cup holders, so unfortunately by default it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Now, the seats are carbon fiber. They are pretty comfortable, even for a big guy like me. I don't mind it too much. They do squeeze me, but never been a stranger to a little squeeze. However, a big squeeze would be the back seats, and I, unfortunately, am not even going to attempt these back seats. They are not good. Apparently, you can fit a baby car seat back there, but I would not recommend doing so. However, let's hop around the very back, because we do have a tiny little trunk to talk about. Right around the back of the Lotus Evora. I already popped it from the inside, and there's actually a prop. There we go. To put up the trunk. Now, it does have a trunk. Here it is. The owner says it's absolutely useless, not because of the volume, but because of the shape. It's just this really weird, like really wide but not very deep shape. He says that is absolutely useless. However, you do get a very pretty look at that engine. So very cool to see that. This is the carbon fiber rear shell as well. This is an option. I hear some scurrying. Maybe some forest creatures are trying to see what a Lotus Evora is all about. I also left it running, as you'll hear, because the starting procedure of this car is absolutely stupid. You have to lock it, unlock it, turn the key, then hit the start button. So very, very strange to see that, but that's what you get with a Lotus Evora. There we go. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this looks the part. Now, the 400 that I drove several years ago was a bright yellow, and I did like how exotic that looked. This is a little bit more understated, which I think carries its own usefulness. But this GT has the carbon fiber package, so like we mentioned, it has that carbon fiber trunk lid, carbon fiber roof, and the rear bumper is actually carbon fiber as well, but it is painted. So they leave this strip up at the top to kind of show off and flex the fact that it is a carbon fiber rear bumper, but they painted the rest of it so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. I found that to be kind of interesting. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Lotus Evora GT? Well, this car has its foot in several different worlds. First off, let's start with the exotic world. This drives and feels and operates like an exotic car. And it also operates as a small production vehicle. Lotus not only didn't sell a whole lot of these, but it has weird quirks that a small or low production number car would have. The headlights get condensation on the inside. This isn't a fault. Lotus fully knows about it, and they say, yeah, that happens, turn on the lights, and it should go away. That's the factory fix for it. The floor mats are held down by these big plastic screws that strip the first time that you take them out. So the owner has replaced them with $70 aluminum bolts. The dash cracks, and it has those weird rubbery oil pan baffles. All of these things are very exotic, low volume car problems. However, on the flip side, you have a very reliable Toyota engine. The owner is able to pick up parts from his local Toyota dealer. That is a huge, huge benefit. Again, step in both worlds, this car was originally engineered by Lotus when they were an independent company doing what they wanted. However, halfway through the Evora's life, Lotus was purchased by Geely, a Chinese holding company. They also own Volvo at the time, and they're responsible for the Emira and the new electric SUV. So you could see some type of modernization in here. You could see what's changed. This is when the Evora came out in 2009, and this is it now. They've updated and changed things, but not original Lotus. This is like someone else steering the ship. This is like returning to your childhood home and realize the new owners painted every room Pepto-Bismol pink. It might not be what the originals wanted, but that's what it is here today. And so this car offers a very strange, very unique experience while also being somewhat familiar. And that's what it feels like to drive the Lotus Evora. That's how this car is. I think that's something of beauty. And let me tell you, when the sun is shining and I have a supercharged V6 singing in my right ear, life ain't so bad. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Mike for letting me borrow his Lotus Evora for today's video and bringing it out here to Chicago to let me film it. Mike has been absolutely wonderful. Again, I'd really like to thank Your Garage Incorporated for making this video possible. If you're in the Chicagoland area and your vehicle needs service, fixing, or maintenance, you can have the mechanic come to you. All you need to do is schedule an appointment online and they show up with the proper tools and expertise. A link to their website and more information is down in the description below. But don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.